Hello everyone, it's Glenda and welcome back to my channel, Creative Grandma. Today's crochet tutorial is for the Premier's Rainbow Doily. This doily was made using the new Premier Minikins, a brand new yarn that was just released by Premier. Now when we measure our doily measures 14 inches in diameter from one side to the other. I use fun bright colors, so let's jump right in and let me tell you everything you're going to need to make your doily today. So for my project today, I'm using all 6 colors of the Premier Minikins that they sent me. Now just a refresher, it comes in 158 yards, 145 meters, 1.75 ounces, 50 grams. It's a 50% cotton, 50% acrylic. It's a fine number 2 yarn. It's machine wash warm, lay flat to dry. It recommends a USA 7 hook or 4.5 millimeter, and that's what I'm using today. So you're going to need 1 skein of Cany Apple number 2103-16, 1 skein of Color Punch color 2103-09, 1 skein of Clementine, this is color number 2103-15, 1 skein of Marigold, color 2103-14, 1 skein of Teal, color 2103-27, and 1 skein of green, color 2103-21. You're also going to need a crochet hook size US 7 or 4.5 millimeter. So let's jump right in and let's get our project started. So I already have my red attached to my hook, and I just used a double knot. You can join your yarn in whichever way you prefer. I'm going to begin and I'm going to chain 4. I'm going to yarn over, pull through the loop on my hook, and that creates my first chain. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now I'm going to skip the first 3 chains. I'm going to insert into the 4th chain or the last chain from hook, and I'm going to slip stitch and form a ring. Yarn over, pull through that chain, and pull through the loop on your hook. And it just creates a small ring. And I'll be working all my stitches into the center of the ring, and then I just hold this end up against my ring and I crochet through the center of the ring and then around this strand of yarn, and it just helps weave in that end. So let's begin round 1. We're going to start with the chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. The beginning chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. So now we're going to work 19 double crochet, and we're going to work it right into the center of the ring. Now remember, all my crochet tutorials are filmed using USA crochet terms. You're going to yarn over, insert into the center of the ring, and this opens up a little bit more as you do your stitches. You're going to yarn over, pull back through the center of that ring. You have 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, and pull through 2 loops. That's how you make a double crochet. Double crochet back into the center of the ring, going through the ring and around that strand of yarn to weave that in as you work around. Work your double crochet. That is 2 of the 19. Double crochet back into the center of the ring. That's 3. Double crochet back into the center of the ring. That's 4. Continue and work 15 more double crochet into the center of the ring, and I'll meet you at the end of round 1. I'm over at the end of round 1. You have your beginning chain 3. You work 19 double crochet into the center of your ring, and if you crocheted over the end around your ring, then all you have to do is grab the end of the yarn, hold on to your work, and then pull. And that's going to tighten that center ring so it's not so open. And I'm just going to pull it one more time to tighten it up a little bit more. And then all I have to do is use my yarn needle and then weave it in the opposite direction and then back to secure that so it stays closed. So now I'm going to go ahead and join, and we're going into the top of this beginning chain 3. So the first chain's down here. You're going to count up 1, 2, 3, insert into the top of that chain, and then slip stitch through that stitch and through the loop on your hook. So I am done with the red, so I'm just going to go ahead and fasten off, and I like to leave a longer length because I do use a yarn needle and I like to weave that in and have a little bit longer length to do that. So I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, I pull my hook up, yarn out, grab, pinch, pull down, and it creates a secure knot. Now if you don't like the knot, I like them because I know it really holds my work in place. And then I'm just going to bring this back and weave it in and out through the stitches and then back. And if you have enough yarn, do it a third time to really secure it. I really suggest weaving your ends in as you go on your project. So now for round 2, I'm going to switch and I'm going to use the pink, the punch color. So grab your punch color 2103-09 and let's begin round 2. I have my punch attached to my hook and I used a double knot. Again, you can join your yarn in whichever way you choose. So I'm going back to my very first stitch. Now I do have a knot there. I'm just going to insert right underneath the knot. And then I'm going to join my new color with a slip stitch through that stitch and through the loop on my hook. And then I'm just going to pull this back. We're going to begin round 2 with a chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now the beginning chain 4 counts as a double crochet plus a chain 1. Now when you're doing your stitches around, make sure that you see this first stitch because when you join this yarn, it squeezes this a little bit, so make sure you're going into that first stitch. We're going to work a double crochet into the first stitch, going under the top 2 loops, work a double crochet. You're going to chain 1, double crochet into the next stitch, and then chain 1. Double crochet into the next stitch. Chain 1. Double crochet into the next stitch, and I always go under the top 2 loops, work your double crochet, and chain 1. Let's do it one more time. You're going to double crochet into the next stitch, and then chain 1. So go ahead and continue, work 1 double crochet into the next stitch and chain 1. Double crochet into the next stitch and chain 1. Repeat that around and I'll meet you at the end of round 2. I'm over at the end of round 2. We work 20 double crochets and we have 20 chain 1 spaces. You worked 1 double crochet into each stitch with a chain 1 in between. So now I'm over at the end. I ended with a double crochet into the last stitch and a chain 1. And we're going over to our beginning chain 4. So you're going to count up 1, 2, 3, and you're going into the 3rd chain of the chain 4. You're going to slip stitch through the 3rd chain and through the loop on your hook. And that way you're making your double crochet and then you have the chain 1 for your chain 1 space. So I am done with the punch color, the pink color, so I'm going to fasten off. Again, I like to leave a little bit longer length for weaving in. I chain 2, pull my hook up, yarn out, grab, pinch, pull down, and it creates a secure knot. So now I'm going to go ahead, weave in my ends, and the next color we're going to be using is orange or Clementine. This is color 2103-15. So grab your Clementine and let's begin round 3. So I have my Clementine or the orange color attached to my hook. Now I did notice that this yarn is really loosely woven. So just make sure that when you hold your yarn, try to hold those strands together to make it easier to crochet with. So I'm going up and I'm taking my work, and you can start in any chain one space. I'm just going to start over here away from my knot because I don't want all my knots in the same spot. So I'm going to begin round 3 by inserting my hook underneath any chain one space and join my yarn with the slip stitch. Yarn over, pull through the chain one space and pull through the loop on your hook. And then I just pull this a little bit, tighten it up, and pull it to the back of my work. We're going to begin round 3 with a chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. And now we're going to work 2 double crochet into this same beginning chain one space. Yarn over, insert into that same chain one space, work 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. So looking at your work, you have your beginning chain 3 and 2 double crochets. And you're going to skip the next double crochet. Now we're ready to begin our repeat. We're going to work 3 double crochet into the next chain one space. 1, 2, and 3. And then skip the next double crochet, and that is the end of the repeat. Let's do it again. Yarn over the hook, insert into the next chain one space, work 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. You're going to skip the next double crochet, and that is the end of the repeat. Let's do it again. Yarn over, insert into the next chain one space, work 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3, and skip the next double crochet. So go ahead and continue and work 3 double crochet into the next chain one space and skip the next double crochet. Work 3 double crochet into the next chain one space and skip the next double crochet. Repeat that around, and I'll meet you at the end of round 3. I'm over at the end of round 3. We worked 3 double crochet in each chain one space, and you should have a total of 60 double crochet around. So now we're ready to join, so we're going to count up to the top of the beginning chain 3, count up 1, 2, 3, insert into the top of that beginning chain 3, and then slip stitch through that stitch and through the loop on your hook. So we are done with our orange or our clementine, so I'm going to fasten off. Again, I like to leave that longer length so I can weave in with my yarn needle. I chain 2, 1, 2, pull my hook up, yarn out, grab, pinch, pull down, and it creates a secure knot. So I'm going to go ahead, weave in my ends, and I'll be back and we'll start round 4. Now we're ready to begin round 4, and I'm using my Marigold color. I already have it attached with the double knot, and I'm going to go back over to my joining stitch. Now I do have a knot here, so I'm going right underneath my knot into the top of that chain, and then I'm going to slip stitch through that stitch and through the loop on my hook, and then I just take this, pull it a little bit, and pull it to the back. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and now we're going to work 1 double crochet back into that same space in that joining stitch. And again, it may be a little tight because of the knot. So when you look at your work, you have your chain 3 and a double crochet into that same stitch. You're going to skip the next stitch and work 2 double crochet into the next stitch. 1, and 2. And then you're going to skip the next stitch and start your repeat into the next stitch. 2 double crochet into that next stitch. 1, and 2. Skip the next stitch and work 2 double crochet into the next stitch. 1 and 2. Skip the next stitch and work 2 double crochet into the next stitch. 1 and 2, and skip the next stitch and start your repeat into the next stitch, and just repeat that around, and I'll meet you at the end of round 4. I'm over at the end of round 4. You should have a total of 60 double crochet around, or 30 sets of 2 double crochet. We have 1 stitch remaining. We're going to skip that stitch and we're going to join in the top of the beginning chain 3. Count up 1, 2, 3, insert your hook into the top of that beginning chain 3, slip stitch through that stitch and through the loop on your hook. So I am done with the yellow, so I'm just going to fasten off. Now when I fasten off, I always chain 2, pull my hook up, yarn out, grab, pinch, and pull down. So I'm going to go ahead, weave in my ends, and the next color we're going to use is the green. So grab your green, this is color 2103-21, and we'll begin round 5. So now we're ready to begin round 5. I have my green attached to my hook, and we're going to go back up and we're working in between each 2 double crochet group. So here's a group, but we're going in between the stitches, in between each one of those groups. So I'm going back to where I fastened off. I'm skipping the joining stitch. I'm skipping that next stitch, and I'm going to join my green right between the first 2 double crochet and the next 2 double crochet set, right between those stitches, and then I'm going to slip stitch through that space and through the loop on my hook. And then I just pull on this, tighten it up, and then pull it to the back of my work. We're going to begin and we're going to chain 1. We're going to insert back into that space and work a single crochet. I'm going to chain 2, and then I'm going to single crochet back into that same space. So all we're doing is making a little single crochet V-stitch. We're going to skip the next 2 stitches, insert into the space between the next 2 double crochet groups, work a single crochet, chain 2, and then single crochet back into that same space. And we're just going to repeat that around. Skip the next 2 double crochet, insert between the skip 2 stitches and the next 2 double crochet group. We're going right between the 2 stitch groups, work a single crochet, chain 2, and then single crochet back into that same space. Let's do it again. Skip the next 2 double crochet, insert between the skip 2 right in that space and the next 2 double crochet group right between those 2 sets of stitches, work a single crochet, chain 2, and then single crochet back into that same space. I'll show you one more time. We're working between the 2 double crochet groups. We're working right between the groups of stitches. You're going to skip the next 2 stitches, insert into the space between the skip 2 and that next 2 double crochet group, work a single crochet, chain 2, and then single crochet back into that same space. And that is the end of the repeat. So go ahead and continue, work a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet between each 2 double crochet group around, and I'll meet you at the end of round 5. I'm over at the end of round 5. This is what your little doily should look like so far, and you should have a total of 30 V-stitches around. I just worked my last V-stitch in the last space between the last 2 sets of 2 double crochet, and now I'm going to go up and join into the top of the beginning single crochet. You're going to skip that beginning chain 1 and come over to the top of the first single crochet stitch, insert under the top 2 loops, and then slip stitch through that stitch and through the loop on your hook. So round 5 is finished, and now we're ready to begin round 6. For round 6, we're using the same color. You're going to skip the beginning single crochet, and we're going to slip stitch into the next chain 2 space. Insert under the chain 2 space, yarn over, pull through, and pull through the loop on your hook. So you can see that we're right in the center of that V-stitch. Now we're going to begin the round with the chain 1, which the chain 1 does not count as a stitch. We're going to single crochet back into that chain 2 space, chain 2, and then single crochet back into that same chain 2 space. So now we're going to start our repeat, and we're only working in the chain 2 spaces of each V-stitch around. Go to your next V-stitch, insert into the chain 2 space, work a single crochet, chain 2, and then single crochet back into that same chain 2 space. And we're going to repeat that around. Go to your next V-stitch, insert into the chain 2 space, work a single crochet, chain 2, and then single crochet back into that same chain 2 space. Let's do it again. Go to your next V-stitch, insert into the chain 2 space, work a single crochet, chain 2, and then single crochet back into that same chain 2 space. I'll show you one more time. Go to your next V-stitch, insert under the chain 2 space, work a single crochet, chain 2, and then single crochet back into that same chain 2 space. So what we're doing is we're just stacking our V-stitch one on top of the other. So go ahead and continue, work a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the chain 2 space of each V-stitch around, and I'll meet you at the end of round 6. I'm over at the end of round 6. This is what your little doily is going to look like. You should still have a total of 30 V-stitches around. So now we're ready to join. We're going to come over and we're going to skip that beginning chain 1, and we're going under the top 2 loops of that first single crochet stitch. Insert under the top 2 loops, then yarn over, pull through that stitch, and pull through the loop on your hook. So I am done with the green, so I'm just going to fasten off, and again, when I fasten off, I like that longer length. I chain 2, pull my hook up, yarn out, grab, pinch, and pull down. Now remember, this is my preferred way of fastening off my yarn, but you can use whichever method you prefer. So round 6 is finished, and now we're ready to begin round 7. For round 7, we're going to use the color Teal, color 2103-27. So grab your teal and let's begin round 7. So now I'm ready to begin round 7. Now if you don't want your knot in the same place, instead of going into the first V-stitch, you can go into any V-stitch. So I'm just going to go into any V-stitch. Now my instructions for this pattern says go into the first V-stitch. You're skipping the first stitch, but you can go into the chain 2 space of any V-stitch. So I'm just going to insert my hook into a chain 2 space. I'm going to yarn over, pull through that chain 2 space, and pull through the loop on my hook. And then I always like to pull on my string, tighten that loop up, and pull it to the back. I'm going to begin with the chain 1, and the chain 1 does not count as a stitch. You're going to single crochet into that chain 2 space. You're going to chain 2, and then you're going to single crochet back into the chain 2 space. And we're just going to repeat that around. Find your next V-stitch, insert into the center of the chain 2 space, work a single crochet, chain 2, and then single crochet back into that same chain 2 space. Let's do it again. Find your next V-stitch, insert into the chain 2 space, work a single crochet, chain 2, and then single crochet back into that same chain 2 space. Find your next V-stitch, insert into the chain 2 space, work a single crochet, chain 2, and then single crochet back into that same chain 2 space. So I'll show you one more time. Go to your next V-stitch. You're going to insert into the chain 2 space, work a single crochet, chain 2, and then single crochet back into that same chain 2 space. So go ahead and continue and work a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the chain 2 space of each V-stitch around, and I'll meet you at the end of round 7. I'm over at the end of round 7. You should still have a total of 30 V-stitches around. I just worked in my last chain 2 space, and now we're ready to join. I'm going to come over and I'm going to join in the top of my beginning single crochet. You're going to skip that beginning chain 1, insert under the top 2 loops of that first single crochet stitch, and then yarn over, pull through that stitch, and pull through the loop on your hook. So round 7 is finished, and now we're ready to begin round 8. For round 8, we're going to skip the beginning single crochet and slip stitch into the chain 2 space. We're going to chain 1, and we're going to single crochet back into that same chain 2 space. Now for this round, we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. And then single crochet back into that same chain 2 space. Now we're going to start our repeat. You're going to go to your next V-stitch, insert into the chain 2 space, work a single crochet, chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and then single crochet back into that same chain 2 space. And we're going to repeat that around. Go to your next V-stitch, insert into the chain 2 space, work a single crochet, chain 3, and then single crochet back into that same chain 2 space. And you can see how the chain 3 space is just a little bit higher. So let's continue. Go to your next V-stitch, insert into the chain 2 space, work a single crochet, chain 3, and then single crochet back into that same chain 2 space. I'll show you one more time. Go to your next V-stitch, insert into the chain 2 space, work a single crochet, chain 3, and then single crochet back into that same chain 2 space. And when you look at your work, you're going to have a single crochet, chain 3, single crochet all into the chain 2 space of that V-stitch below. So go ahead and continue and work a single crochet, chain 3, single crochet into the chain 2 space of each V-stitch around, and I'll meet you at the end of round 8. I'm over at the end of round 8. This is what your work should look like. We worked a single crochet, chain 3, single crochet in the chain 2 space of each V-stitch around. So now I just worked in my last chain 2 space, so we're back over at the beginning. So we're going to skip the beginning chain 1, and we're going right to the very first single crochet, insert under the top 2 loops, and join with the slip stitch through that stitch and through the loop on your hook. So I am done with the teal, so I'm just going to fasten off. And again, when you fasten off, you can use whichever method you prefer to fasten off your yarn. So I'm going to go ahead, weave in my ends. So the next color we're going to use is I'm going back to that Cany Apple red. So grab your Cany Apple red and let's begin round 9. So now we're ready to begin round 9. So I have my Cany Apple red attached to my hook. And I'm going back up. This is where I fastened off. You'll see a little tiny bit of my knot there. And we're going to join our yarn in the first chain 3 space. So you're skipping that first single crochet, insert under the chain 3 space, and then slip stitch through that space and through the loop on your hook. And then again, I just take this, pull it a little bit, and then pull it to the back of my work. We're going to begin round 9 with a chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. We're going to work 2 more double crochet back into that same chain 3 space. 1, and 2. So now we're going to work 3 double crochet in the chain 3 space of each V-stitch around. Yarn over, go to your next V-stitch, insert into the chain 3 space, and work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. Go to your next V-stitch. You're going to yarn over, insert into the chain 3 space, and work 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Go to your next V-stitch. You're going to yarn over, insert into the chain 3 space, and work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3, and that is the end of the repeat. Very simple round. So go ahead and continue and work 3 double crochet into the chain 3 space of each V-stitch around, and I'll meet you at the end of round 9. So I'm over at the end of round 9. We work 3 double crochet in the chain 3 space of each V-stitch around. You should have a total of 90 double crochet stitches. So I worked in my last chain 3 space, and now we're ready to join. So we're going to come over and we're going to count up to the top of that beginning chain 3, count up 1, 2, 3, insert your hook into the top chain, and then slip stitch through that chain and through the loop on your hook. So I am done with the Cany Apple red, so I'm just going to fasten off. And again, use whichever method you prefer to fasten off your yarn. Now it's a lot easier to weave in your ends as you go. This is the front of my work, and when you flip it over, my ends are already weaved in, and it just makes it so it's not overwhelming when you get your doily done. So I'm going to go ahead, weave in my ends, and the next color we're going to use is the Marigold yellow. So grab your yellow and let's begin round 10. So now we're ready to begin round 10. So I have my Marigold attached to my hook, and you can join your yarn in whichever way you prefer. So I'm going back over to where I fastened off. Here's where I fastened off. You can see my little knot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip that joining stitch, and I'm going to join my yarn into the very next stitch. Insert under the top 2 loops, and then yarn over, pull through that stitch, and pull through the loop on your hook. Now we're ready to begin round 10. For round 10, you're going to chain 3. The beginning chain 3 counts as your first double crochet. You're going to double crochet back into that same stitch. So when you look at your work, you're going to have your beginning chain 3 and a double crochet in the top of that same stitch. Now we're ready to do our repeat. We're going to skip the next stitch, and we're going to work 2 double crochet into the top of the next stitch. 1, and 2. You're going to skip the next stitch and work 2 double crochet into the next stitch. 1, and 2. And we're just going to continue working that around. So let's begin the repeat again. You're going to yarn over, skip the next stitch, and work 2 double crochet into the next stitch. 1, and 2. Let's do it again. Yarn over, skip the next stitch, insert into the next stitch, and work 2 double crochet. 1 and 2. Let's do it again. Skip the next stitch and work 2 double crochet into the next stitch. 1 and 2. So go ahead and continue, and you're going to repeat, skip the next stitch and work 2 double crochet into the next stitch. Repeat that around, and I'll meet you at the last stitch of round 10. I'm over at the end of round 10. This is what our doily looks like. Now it may bow up a little bit, but when you hand press it, it's going to lay flat. So when you look at your work, we work 2 double crochet in a stitch, we skipped a stitch, 2 double crochet in the next stitch, skipped a stitch, and when we work that around, we have 1 stitch remaining, our beginning stitch that we skipped. So we're going to skip that stitch, and we're going to come up and we're going to join in the top of the beginning chain 3. So count up 1, 2, 3, insert into the top of that chain, and then slip stitch through that chain and through the loop on your hook. So round 10 is finished. I am done with my marigold yellow, so I'm just going to fasten off my yellow. So I'm going to weave in my ends, and then the next color I'm using the Clementine or orange. So grab your orange and let's begin round 11. Now we're ready to begin round 11, and again your work should be turned up just a little bit, and the next round's going to make that lay flat. So I already have my Clementine or my orange color attached to my hook, and you can change the colors of whatever color you want to use for your doily. I'm going back up to where I joined, so I'm skipping the first stitch, I'm skipping the second stitch, and I'm going to join in between the 2 double crochet groups right into that space right there. Insert your hook and then slip stitch through that space and through the loop on your hook. And then again, I just pull this to the back of my work. Now for this round, we're working in between each 2 double crochet group around. We're going to begin and we're going to chain 1. You're going to insert back into that same space and work a single crochet, chain 2, and then single crochet back into that same space. You're going to skip the next 2 double crochet, and into the space between the 2 double crochet groups, you're going to insert your hook and work a single crochet, chain 2, and then single crochet back into that same space. And you can see how we're working in between the stitches. Skip the next 2 double crochet, insert your hook into the space between the 2 double crochet groups, work a single crochet, chain 2, and then single crochet back into that same space. Let's do it again. Skip the next 2 double crochets, insert your hook into the space between the 2 double crochet groups right into that space, work a single crochet, chain 2, and then single crochet. I'll show you one more time. You're going to skip the next 2 stitches, insert your hook into the space between the 2 double crochet groups, work a single crochet, chain 2, and then single crochet back into that same space. And you can see how your pattern is forming. So go ahead and continue and work a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet between each 2 double crochet group around, and I'll meet you at the end of round 11. I'm over at the end of round 11. This is what our work should look like, and you should have a total of 45 V stitches around. So I worked into the last space between the last two double crochet groups, and now I'm getting ready to join. We're going to come over and we're skipping that beginning chain one. You want to insert your hook under the top two loops of that first single crochet stitch, and then slip stitch, yarn over, pull through that stitch, and pull through the loop on your hook. So I am done with my orange color, my Clementine. So I'm just going to fasten off. And now the next color I'm going to use is I'm going to come back to this teal, because I think the teal would look really pretty next to that orange. So grab your teal and let's begin round 12. For round 12, I'm using the teal. I already have it attached to my hook. So I'm going to go up to any old V-stitch. So I'm just going up and I'm going to pick a V-stitch and I'm going to join in the chain 2 space. So insert into the chain 2 space of any V-stitch and then slip stitch through that stitch and through the loop on your hook. And then I just pull this back to the back of my work. And now we're ready to begin round 12. For round 12, we're going to chain 1, which the chain 1 does not count as a stitch, and we're going to single crochet back into that same chain 2 space. We're going to chain 3 this round. 1, 2, and 3. You're going to single crochet back into that same chain 2 space. And we're going to repeat that around. Find your next V-stitch, insert into the chain 2 space, work a single crochet, chain 3, and then single crochet back into that same chain 2 space. And that is the end of the repeat. And you can see how your little V-stitches are forming, or shell stitches, whatever you want to call them. Go to your next V-stitch, insert into the chain 2 space, work a single crochet, chain 3, and then single crochet back into the same chain 2 space. Let's do it again. Go to your next V-stitch, insert under the chain 2 space, work a single crochet, chain 3, and then single crochet back into that same chain 2 space. Let's do it one more time together. Go to your next V-stitch, insert under the chain 2 space, work a single crochet, chain 3, and then single crochet back into that same chain 2 space. And that's what it's going to look like. So go ahead and continue and work a single crochet, chain 3, single crochet into the chain 2 space of each V-stitch around, and I'll meet you at the end of round 12. I'm over at the end of round 12. This is what our doily's looking like, or our table topper, whatever you want to call it. You should have a total of 45 V-stitches around. We worked a single crochet, chain 3, single crochet in the chain 2 space of each V-stitch around. So I'm over to the end of the round. I worked in my last chain 2 space, and now we're going to join in the top of that beginning single crochet. So you have a chain 1 here. You're going to skip that, and you want to go over to the first single crochet. Insert under the top 2 loops, and then slip stitch through that stitch and through the loop on your hook. So I am done with the teal blue, so I'm just going to fasten off, and now I am finished with round 12. So I'm going to weave in my ends. So the next color we're going to use is our punch pink. So grab your punch pink and let's begin round 13. So I have my punch pink already attached to my hook, and I'm just going to take my doily. So I'm just going to go to any V-stitch, and I'm going to insert under the chain 3 space of any of the V-stitches. It doesn't matter. You do not have to start in the first one. You're going to yarn over and slip stitch through that chain 3 space. And then I just pull this back behind my work. We're going to begin, and we're going to chain 1. Now the beginning chain 1 does not count as a stitch. You're going to single crochet back into that same chain 3 space. You're going to chain 3, and single crochet back into that same chain 3 space. And we're going to repeat that around. Go to your next V-stitch, insert into the chain 3 space, work a single crochet, chain 3, and then single crochet back into that same chain 3 space. Let's do it again. Go to your next V-stitch, insert under the chain 3 space, work a single crochet, chain 3, and then single crochet back into that same chain 3 space. Go to your next V-stitch, insert under the chain 3 space, work a single crochet, chain 3, and then single crochet back into that same chain 3 space. I'll show you one more time. Go to your next V-stitch, insert under the chain 3 space, work a single crochet, chain 3, and then single crochet back into that same chain 3 space. So go ahead and continue, work 1 single crochet, a chain 3, and 1 single crochet into the chain 3 space of each V-stitch around, and I'll meet you at the end of round 13. I'm over at the end of round 13. This is what our doily looks like. I just worked in my last V-stitch and now I'm ready to join. We're going to come over to our first single crochet. We're skipping that beginning chain 1, insert into the top of that single crochet under the top 2 loops, and then slip stitch through that stitch and through the loop on your hook. So I am done with the punch pink. So I'm going to fasten off, and again use whichever method you prefer to fasten off your yarn. I'm going to go ahead, weave in my ends as I go, and the next color we're going to use is our green. So grab your green and let's begin round 14. So now we're ready to begin round 14. So round 14, I'm using my green. I already have it attached to my hook, and we're going to repeat what we did in round 13. You're going to insert your hook in any chain 3 space of any V-stitch, insert under the chain 3 space, and then yarn over, pull through that chain 3 space, and pull through the loop on your hook. And then again, I just pull this to the back of my work, pull it to the side, and then we're going to begin. You're going to chain 1 and single crochet back into that same chain 3 space. You're going to chain 3 and then single crochet back into the same chain 3 space. And we're just repeating what we did in the last round. Go to your next V-stitch, insert under the chain 3 space, work a single crochet, chain 3, and then single crochet back into that same space. Let's do it a couple more times together. Insert into the next chain 3 space of the next V-stitch, work a single crochet, chain 3, and then single crochet back into that same chain 3 space. Go to your next V-stitch, insert under the chain 3 space, work a single crochet, chain 3, and then single crochet back into that same space. I'll show you one more time. Go to your next V-stitch, insert under the chain 3 space, work a single crochet, chain 3, and then single crochet back into that same chain 3 space. And this is what your work is going to look like. So go ahead and continue and work 1 single crochet, a chain 3, and 1 single crochet into the chain 3 space of each V-stitch around, and I'll meet you at the end of round 14. I'm over at the end of round 14. We just worked our single crochet, chain 3, single crochet in the chain 3 space of each V-stitch around. I'm over at the end, and we're going to join in the top of that beginning single crochet. You're going to skip the beginning chain 1, go to the first single crochet and insert under the top 2 loops, and then slip stitch through that stitch and through the loop on your hook. So I am done with my green, so I'm going to fasten off. I'm going to weave in my ends, and the next color we're going to use is we're going back to the Marigold yellow. So grab your yellow and let's begin round 15. Now we're ready to begin round 15. So I have my Marigold yellow attached to my hook. So now we're going to join our yellow in any chain 3 space of any V-stitch around. So insert under the chain 3 space of any V-stitch, and then you're going to slip stitch through that chain 3 space and through the loop on your hook. And then I just pull this behind my work. We're going to begin with the chain 1. We're going to work half double crochets in this round. You're going to yarn over the hook, insert back into that chain 3 space, yarn over and pull through. You have 3 loops. You're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. That's how you make a half double crochet. Half double crochet back into that same chain 3 space. You're going to chain 2, pull your stitches over, and then work 2 more half double crochet back into that same chain 3 space. 1 and 2. So now we're ready to do our repeat. You're going to go to your next V-stitch. You're going to yarn over, insert into that chain 3 space, work 2 half double crochets. 1 and 2. Chain 2, and then work 2 half double crochet back into that same chain 3 space. 1 and 2. And we're working 2 half double crochets, a chain 2, and 2 half double crochet into that chain 3 space of the V-stitch. Let's do it again. Go to your next V-stitch. You're going to yarn over, insert under the chain 3 space, work 2 half double crochets. 1 and 2. You're going to chain 2. Yarn over, insert back into that same chain 3 space, work 2 half double crochets. 1 and 2. Let's do it again. Go to your next V-stitch. You're going to yarn over, insert underneath the chain 3 space, work 2 half double crochets. 1 and 2. You're going to chain 2. Yarn over, insert back into that same chain 3 space, work 2 half double crochets. 1 and 2. And that's all there is to this round. So I'll show you one more time. You're going to go to your next V-stitch, yarn over the hook, insert under the chain 3 space, work 2 half double crochets. 1 and 2. You're going to chain 2. Yarn over, insert back into that chain 3 space, work 2 half double crochets. 1 and 2. So go ahead and continue and work 2 half double crochet, a chain 2, and 2 half double crochet into the chain 3 space of each V-stitch around, and I'll meet you at the end of round 15. I'm over at the end of round 15. We worked 1 shell stitch of 2 half double crochet, chain 2, 2 half double crochet into the chain 3 space of each V-stitch around. You should have a total of 45 shell stitches around. So now we're going to join. We're going to join in the top of that beginning half double crochet. You're going to skip this chain 1, insert under the top 2 loops of that very first half double crochet stitch, and then yarn over, slip stitch through that stitch and through the loop on your hook. Round 15 is finished. Now we're going to begin round 16. We're going to skip that joining stitch. We're going to slip stitch into the top of the next stitch, yarn over, pull through that stitch, and pull through the loop on your hook. We're going to slip stitch into the next chain 2 space. We want to start our round in the center of the shell stitch. We're going to begin and we're going to chain 1. The beginning chain 1 does not count as a stitch. We're going to work 2 half double crochet back into that same chain 2 space. 1 and 2. You're going to chain 2. You're going to work 2 half double crochet back into that same chain 2 space. That's 1 and 2. And when you look at your work, you have your beginning chain 1, which does not count as a stitch, and then 2 half double crochet, a chain 2, and 2 half double crochet in the center of that first shell stitch. Now we're ready to begin our repeat. You're going to go to the next shell stitch. You're going to yarn over, insert under the chain 2 space, work 2 half double crochets. 1 and 2. You're going to chain 2. Yarn over, insert back into that same chain 2 space, work 2 half double crochets. 1 and 2. Let's do it again. Find your next shell stitch. You're going to yarn over, insert under the chain 2 space, work 2 half double crochets. 1 and 2. You're going to chain 2. Yarn over, insert back into that chain 2 space, work 2 half double crochets. 1 and 2. So when you look at your work, you can see that we're just stacking our shell stitches one on top of the other. So let's do it one more time together. Go to your next shell stitch. You're going to yarn over, insert under the chain 2 space, work 2 half double crochets. 1 and 2. You're going to chain 2. Yarn over, insert back into that same chain 2 space, and work 2 more half double crochets. 1 and 2. So go ahead and continue and work 2 half double crochet, chain 2, and 2 half double crochet into the chain 2 space of each shell stitch around, and I'll meet you at the end of round 16. I'm over at the end of round 16. We just worked our shell stitch, a 2 half double crochet, chain 2, 2 half double crochet in the chain 2 space of each shell stitch around. And now I'm over at the end. You should have a total of 45 shell stitches around. So when you look at your work, your last shell stitch should be in the center of the last shell stitch around. And now we're going to join. You're going to skip the beginning chain 1, insert under the top 2 loops of that first half double crochet stitch, and then slip stitch through that stitch and through the loop on your hook. So I am done with my Marigold yellow, so I'm just going to fasten off. I'm going to weave in my ends. So round 16 is finished, and now we're ready to begin round 17. For round 17, we're going to be using our Cany Apple red. So grab your Cany Apple red and let's begin round 17. So I already have my Cany Apple red attached to my hook, and we're going to join in the chain 2 space of any shell stitch. So let me zoom up. So I'm just going to any shell stitch, and I'm going to join in the chain 2 space. Insert under the chain 2 space and slip stitch, yarn over, pull underneath and back through, and then through the loop on your hook. And then this beginning end, I just pull behind my work. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. The beginning chain 3 will count as our first double crochet. Double crochet back into that same chain 2 space. Chain 2. And then work 2 more double crochet back into that same chain 2 space. 1 and 2. So when you look at your work, our shell stitch is a little higher because we're using that double crochet stitch. You're going to have your beginning chain 3, a double crochet, chain 2, and 2 double crochet. So now we're ready to begin our repeat. You're going to yarn over, go to your next shell stitch, insert under the chain 2 space, work 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. You're going to chain 2 and then work 2 more double crochet back into that same chain 2 space. 1 and 2. And when you look at your work, again, you're going to have 2 double crochet, a chain 2, and 2 double crochet into the center chain 2 space of that shell stitch. And we're just going to repeat that around. Let's do it again. Yarn over the hook, go to your next shell stitch, insert into the chain 2 space, and work 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. Chain 2, and then 2 double crochet back into that same chain 2 space. 1 and 2. Let's do it again. Go to your next V-stitch. You're going to yarn over, insert underneath the chain 2 space, work 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. You're going to chain 2 and then work 2 double crochet back into that same chain 2 space. 1 and 2. And that is the end of the repeat. So go ahead and continue. You're going to work 2 double crochet, a chain 2, and 2 double crochet into the chain 2 space of each shell stitch around, and I'll meet you at the end of round 17. I'm over at the end of round 17. This is what your work should look like. You should have a total of 45 shell stitches around, where we work 2 double crochet, a chain 2, and 2 double crochet into the chain space of each V-stitch around. So now we're ready to join. We're going to join in the top of the beginning chain 3, count up 1, 2, 3, insert your hook into the top of that chain, yarn over, pull through that chain, and pull through the loop on your hook. We are done with our red, our Cany Apple red, so I'm just going to fasten off. So my little table topper doily is finished. Now you can do just about anything with this doily. Now you can go ahead and attach this to a ring. You can crochet through the chain 2 space and then around the ring make yourself a sun catcher or a dream catcher. Very pretty that way. You can frame it if you want to make some decorative art. You can use it this way, the way I'm going to do, to just add a splash of color. Spring and summer's here. Just a fun way to decorate. So thank you everybody for stopping by today, spending a little time with me crocheting. If you enjoyed today's video, please make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of the crochet fun here on Creative Grandma's channel. So until next time, happy crocheting everyone.